Officially, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Market Watch Group Wednesday Market Midpoint. My name is Scott. Again, pardon, I feel a little bit under the weather today, a little quiet. Audio and video is good. Okay, thanks, LJ. Good. Let's run through our normal housekeeping. Disclaimers, as always, educational, illustrative purposes only. Nothing intended to be a recommendation to buy or sell any financial security or product. We're not brokers. We're not advisors. Okay, what are we going to talk about? Let's talk about the opening analysis. What do the futures tell us? It was interesting, right? Did you watch yesterday? The futures were down quite a bit. In the afternoon, towards the evening, and the overnight, it definitely turned around. Going to be worse today. Oh, Kami, good morning to you. Let's dive in. Here's the agenda. Now that you said that, I want to go take a look at the the futures, because I actually feel like the futures recovered. The news. Okay. So something reverberating, you feel like, coming out of Europe, or is it something like just sort of escalation, general escalation, essentially? Just fear? Yeah. I mean, the futures have recovered. If we're going off what we see on the charts, however, yeah. Let's go talk about it. Let's dive into it. So we'll start with the SPY, and then we'll go to the futures, and then we'll come back to the SPY. Because, I mean, it was definitely a gnarly day. It will go to the sellers. Like, here's where the buyers closed, 504, and then we closed at 496. It was 1.5%. So of course we'll give that to the sellers as we continue to real time mark our volumes. Let me see. This is I can't even see it. This is a sell. No, I didn't want to do that. Son of a gun. Gold, is anything up? Gold in the VIX. Oh gosh, I keep losing it. Why can't I drag today? Activate drawing. Drag across. Okay. Yeah. And then if we switch over to the futures, they were getting worse, but they've recovered a little bit, right? I mean, they were all the way down here. So, okay, now, what does it mean? There's a lot of kinetic energy on both sides of this thing, right? There is a bunch of FOMO. We saw it when you sniff a rumor of like they're gonna pause it, and they're like 4%. Right? The FOMO trade was yesterday's trade, and then it just got battered back down. And then you can see after yesterday, these futures dipped almost back down, not all the way, but almost back down to that low 48.32 level that has us minus 20% on the S&P. So it tells us that there's a lot of fear too, right? And of course, speaking of, nope, let's go this way. We're holding up in this area, right? Well, now, one of the things we said was, hey, if this thing convincingly breaks down, would it be enough to put on a trade or two to see if it's going to give a V and catch that FOMO trade? That's the So let's kind of talk through it, and what you're thinking about or what you're doing. And I would say, of course, anytime you have a VIX like this, if you remember, I said, anything in the high 20s and above, day trading, in and out, whether it's, and you can look at scalping time frames, 3s and 5s. You could look at more, momentum, 10, 15, 30 in that area, where you're just kind of holding a little more, not getting shook as much, but you've got to gear yourself up for that. If you've never done it, what I would say is paper trade, day trading, where you say, hey, I'm going to go for 3 days. I'm going to see just see what it's like. I'm just going to get in. I'm going to keep the records. How many trades did I get? Right? That's the best advice I could give is, like I said, day trade the hell out of this market. Or excuse me, paper trade, not day trade. Paper trade the hell out of this market. Because practice is great. You can really get a lot of skills, and like, hey, what does day trading a volatile market look like? Is that something I'm interested in when conditions look like this? Because Scott said he'll do it more in conditions like this. Some people will just sit cash. Glenn will do more day trading. So you want to see, where does that fit for me into my trading? Am I a cash person and then only looking to snipe? That's what we said we're looking to do right now. Patience, snipe a trade here or there, where we say, what's our next snipe trade? What does that mean? That's where it's more of like that, still maybe 3 to 5 days, and you're catching some of that momentum. For me, 2 things would be potentially setting up. Number 1, a bear flag, where we see the market from here. Let me go back to the SPY now. So yeah, what does this tell us? We're holding on to this volatility. We haven't seen, this is a red day, but this red day actually finished higher than the prior day. And then the next day it finished higher, and the next day higher. If I look at this as a line chart, it's just higher, 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 right? Okay. Back to the SPY. So if you're sitting in cash, spectating, day trading, picking a trade here or two, that's a very strategic mindset. It's a great way to trade a market like this. Snipe trading, yeah. Well, I mean more like we're snipers, right? But snipe hunting on campouts is definitely a Texas camping trick that I was victim to and also pulled. Okay. Yeah, no, we're snipers here. We're disciplined. We're patient. Snipe, pick it off. Okay. So where does that leave us then? What are the potentials? You saw that we had it yesterday, but it's very difficult. It's very difficult if it starts. Now today we're starting in here. The next thing that's difficult is, what do we need to see to convince us? Because a lot of times I'm like, I need to see it do this. I need it above here. It's going to be very hard to wait for that, right? So you kind of have to think, yeah, I don't know. What would I possibly look for? I don't know. I don't have a call out. I mean, these last 3 days. It's just, we're gonna settle in here, and like Kami said, man, the news comes out and it could just go either way, 3%, 5%. Yeah, this will be interesting to see for sure. The first thing would be just like, does it settle down a little bit and actually pick something? So do we come from here and go sideways a couple of days and then just go up a little bit and then stall? There's the flag I'd be looking for, right? I'd say, okay, my pull just sort of did this. That's the pull at the end of the day. And then whatever we get coming out of that pull. Or Yeah, I don't. The V trade is tough with this so volatile at the bottom. I don't know. I think I would actually wait. Now, if it goes hard and it breaks into this gap, then I might try to say, hey, we've got a nice little piece even here that comes once we're through this. So I'm going to be pretty patient on. Yesterday I thought about it, but yes, man, that FOMO trade just got bashed. A lot of people lost a lot of money on the FOMO trade yesterday. So to me, it sort of reduces the potential for that. Give me your thoughts as we talk through this. So we definitely will watch the opening range today. Let's peek around. Someone throw stocks out that you feel like are representative. I'm going to grab my watch list. Let's go see. We're down 0.36. So we basically opened pretty flat. Think about this. From here on April 1st, we gapped up, sold off, and then finished. No, I'm sorry. We gapped down. We were up here and we gapped down. So we gapped on that day. The next day we gap down. The next day we gap down. The next day we gap down. The next day we gapped up. And this is the first day that we have opened within 0.5%. I mean, it's just been gap. Everything's happening overnight. And that's difficult, right? You can't really account for that overnight where it's just like, man, if it went that far, we have to wait. Now, waiting yesterday when it gapped up and we're like, yeah, we'll wait and see, and waiting and see, watched it drop the whole day. And we're like, yeah, good thing we waited. So patience is definitely key here. Okay, let me, find my watch list. Okay. Maybe I would consider a V on something. I don't know. There's a lot of potential for these things. Okay, let me ask this question. And I definitely need you guys to give me some feedback on this. Does it definitely feel like, especially as they talk about the number of countries negotiating, it feels like it could be lifted, but they're like, no, we're committed to this. And then they're like, well, we've got a lot of countries negotiating. That's good. And you're like, so when they call out that there's a lot of countries negotiating, that gives you the hope, that's the thought that they would lift it after with negotiations, where they're like, we brought everyone to the table and we forced all these great new trade deals. I mean, the optics would be enough, and if they did that, markets would go insane. Is that what is like? Does anyone else feel like that's sort of what we're kind of like? But that to me is why that V. You might wonder, Scott, are you just like calling out V's? I'm like, no, but I just feel like when you watched just a little hint of a like, they may pause, and people just like clamored to trade, and I don't know. Give me your thoughts on that. I feel like I need to hear from the group on that one. Or are we entrenching for this to be extended? I mean, if the tariffs are on for extended periods, prices obviously are going up, and then we'll see inflation rise up. It will put pressure. We'll see job losses. Like that will obviously go into a terrible, terrible place. So it feels like they're leaving that door open for that. And that's, so then, hey, maybe it is. Maybe it's a phenomenal negotiating tactic where it doesn't even have to be. Because I'm like, well, can you negotiate good deals? Well, it doesn't even matter, really. They could just walk away and say they negotiated and leave it as is. Say they won, crushed the world in American style to, like, it's really the optics, right? And things rally. I don't know. I don't see anyone responding. So, or maybe my comments aren't caught up. What are we looking at here, guys? Can you hear me still? All right. Well, let's just keep looking at charts then. Okay. So Sam says that's what it seemed like, right? Like, okay. I mean, if they didn't talk about negotiating so much so quickly, then I'd be a little more concerned that they weren't. And then it would just be like a tariff policy, like a blanket policy, which is going to, negotiation inevitability. Well, I mean, yeah, they say they're negotiating now, but in order for the market, there has to either be commitment to relieving tariffs or like they're going to say, hey, they'll be like, I don't know. There's no plan. Emotional world order rebalancing. I read a thing. It was an article about a conservative think tank who came out and they were like, the calculation used looked at retail elasticity instead of import elasticity. And as such, produced numbers about 4 times higher than they should be to achieve what they were trying to. Like, according to the theory of here's what we're trying to achieve and why, the formula, like, this was a concern. They're like, we're on your side, but this was 4 times higher. Like, this, it doesn't make sense. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's go take a look at 7 minutes in what the opening range looks like. Yeah, it's holding up so far, like just sort of stable. VIX options in the money sold half for 100%. Not sure. These are call options, and it's up at 55. Or wait, what's the? Yes, yeah. It's what I would say. I'm glad you're willing to bring up a live trade, and if anyone else wants to, feel free to. If we go to the VIX, maybe at the very least at this point, I don't know, 4 hour. And so you can see you caught this big one and then you survived this high wave, which is amazing. And then you caught this and you can see it's, it could get back up there. I don't know. This is, this might help you see where you could go look at, say, hey, if I had a stop down at 47 and this thing rolled over, what would I keep at 47 versus what would I keep right now and say I don't want to put it at risk anymore versus what's it worth if I get back up here? And maybe look at those three to say, how does that look? I mean, that's not dogmatic, but it just gives you a perspective of a loss, a gain, and now. And then you're like, what do I want to do? Right? Am I willing to risk this to get this, or should I just take what I have right now? Yeah, that's what I would do for sure. So this is the 4 hour too, John. I tightened a little because if you went to the daily chart, is still a little, you'd be way down here at 44. So if you want to keep the trade, but then you got to think, if I'm risking 44 and I'm trying to get 57, yeah. So that just helps to that's the Heiken Ashi. I always feel like that can help me find a place when it's hard to find a place in the market. Like it's just so much chop. You're like, what can you use to help orient yourself somewhere? And that's the kind of chart that can help do it. Not only about deficit, a lot of trade barriers, doing business in other countries. Yeah, I mean, true. My understanding for food is that most countries are healthier than us and don't like the types of chemicals in our that end up in our crops and stuff. But I don't know. Maybe that's yeah. Okay. Well, let's go to the SPY. As I said, there you go. You can see the buyers are trying. Okay, so we're 10 minutes in. Okay, let me get oriented here. 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's get some lines. So here's a call out. If you're new or relatively new, what are your thoughts? What do you feel like? Hey, I'm lost, or do you feel like, hey, you know what? I'm working on my trading plan. I'm day trading. This is actually great. I feel like I'm doing what would be the best way from our perspective towards the group, and then from the group towards everyone, to support newness in this journey. And you may not know right off the bat, but just kind of let that sink in, because hey, we don't know what this is. We don't know how entrenched or how long this is likely to be. So, do we need to, be prepared for that? There's the opening range right now. So I'm going to watch and see. I would say with this sitting on the 5 minute right near that moving average, I'd like to see it from this perspective, especially if that's a part of the opening range. I'd want to see it break above that, then test it, and then say, okay, now I feel like we'll have a sustainable bullish move through the day. What's our news today? What do we have? Practicing on paper. I love it. Love it. Comment. That's perfect summation for me. I think that's exactly right. Wild. Okay, so there's that starting point. Let me take a quick peek. There we go. There's the when did this news come? Did this just come? When did that kick off? Are we seeing that? Nah, that's already priced in. Okay. I wasn't sure when that came. 84%. So we have 84% escalation this morning. What time exactly? I'd love to see. Does anyone know? I'd love to see exactly when that news came out on the futures. Was it here? Looks like there was a volume. Kami, I think you're right, but you know what I think? I think that the way he's gonna look at it is he's willing to take the short term pain better than. I think that's where this is going. Tell me what you think about my opinion. Only 11. Well, the news article came out 11 minutes ago, but I don't know when they announced it, I guess. And so you're right in the long run, but in the short run, he knows that all the billionaires are going to be putting pressure on Trump, and there's going to be protests, and that's not going to happen in China, right? That is absolutely not going to happen in China. And so, while there may be some sort of crackdowns of various sorts that people don't like here, it's nowhere near. So, yeah, I believe you're right. 6 a.m. Central is 5 a.m. Mountain, which is right about there. So there's initial reaction, and then it continued, and then something just popped it right back up. Not sure what, but I agree that this points towards more escalation. Or possibly it becomes we settle with everybody else but China, and then it becomes like now everyone's so happy that the U.S. isn't so crazy that they're just sort of like forced to align, and then that'd be interesting. Setting up for a nice day trade put. Love it, Miguel. Miguel's thinking about it. They sell a lot more to us than we do. Again, I agree with you both. I agree that but there's a different story being told to the Chinese by the Chinese state media about what's going to happen and what they're going to be prepared for, and what, and it's going to be in line. It's not going to be 150 protests. It's not going to be, news starting to like right. Like, it's just a different thing. So there it is. What do we have here? There's that sell-off, Miguel. Did you pull the trigger? Let me go back to the SPY. Now that we're 5 a.m. is what we agree on. 5 a.m. Mountain. So you can see, for me, I'm going to wait for the opening range still. I always like that to orient. I usually won't get one going until after the first 45 minutes or so. Check this graph out. Dun, 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 dun. I think the problem too is we haven't said I don't believe it makes sense to say we want manufacturing. Manufacturing what? I don't know why I can't get that link to open. Oh, there it is. Oh, interesting. Right? That's what I mean, Connie. That's what I mean. They're they're telling a story that has them all fired up against us, whereas our story here is that's why I'm saying that the Chinese are gambling on the short-term pain strategy. Where I hope what the U.S. does is turn it into a us versus. I mean, according to this map, I would love for that to be the case. Then look, okay, I'll say this, man. If we all of a sudden come out and everyone is just relieved, and then we're in like a pretty nasty trade war with China, but we have everyone else, then I'm all for it. then I'm all for it. But let's be targeted. Let's target them. Let's let the Madagascarians live in peace and produce their vanilla for us to enjoy. Let's target. Let's get the scalpel out, then start carving this thing back blue. I'm all for that. That sounds great. Declare victory. Minor trade war with China. And then everyone all of a sudden thinks that a small trade war is a beautiful thing because it's not a global trade war. And then it's like, it's perception. I don't know. As we talk it out, as I see this, I kind of feel like with China escalating, it gives them that type of a strategy to make a huge adjustment to everybody else. Knowing that what you did was too high for most countries, make the adjustment. Declare victory to give them a break. That way you don't have to actually say you made a mistake. You can just be like, yeah, all of these, every country that was too high, be like, they came to the table and they bent a knee. Everything is good. And turn it blue while you're at it, of course, right, Miguel? So to the point of the map, you take the opportunity to rearrange it blue. And then be like, we've removed tariffs on 66 countries. Bam. Something like that. And then turn to China and be like, yeah, it's on. And not only barriers to entry, but I believe that they are pillaging intellectual property and then just selling it, and yeah, make them stop doing that too. Like let's put some pressure anyways. The world believes we're rich brats. Okay, I mean, if we maybe this is the right strategy to accommodate. I'm just saying that the markets are going to need clarity, or else we, as a trading group, need to entrench and dig in and prepare for more of the same. If it stays global, we're going to be in for it. If it turns to a more calculated approach and we can, fixate on China. Also interesting. My assumption is just like the amount of trading, U.S. as the larger trading partner. So with these countries versus now these countries trade more with China than they do with us is essentially so you can see U.S. as the larger, China. So here, like these African countries traded more with China and stuff. And now you can see that most of these countries do more trading with China than they do with us. So in 2024, total trade for us is 5 trillion, for them is 6 trillion. I mean, it seems to me like if the problem with fentanyl is China, if the problem with trade is China, if the problem with intellectual property is China, this shouldn't be a global trade war, right? It shouldn't be forcing other countries to think about ways to, make backdoor deals to, right? Like I don't know. It is interesting. Yeah, the delta is significant for sure. But my understanding, and this right? Doesn't this go back to Bush? I agree, Kevin. I agree, but I am saying that what they say is that the fentanyl comes from China. If that's something that you're trying to address, you don't address it through Mexico and Canada. It is a cover story for sure, but yeah, we isn't China still technically designated as a developing country in trade, in the trade world? Like they were moved up in the 80s under Bush. Is that right? India is too. which maybe still makes sense. There's a lot of poverty in that country. Maybe not, but definitely like, yeah, like let's use this to do some actual things that make sense. Where you're like, these are the objectives. We're gonna move China out of that status. Clearly, that doesn't make any sense. They cannot manipulate their currency. They cannot, right? They need to stop stealing intellectual property and yeah, force the world to align with that because the world benefits from that too. I think, you know. All right, back to trading. Back to the opening range is set now. So, yeah. There's the range. The average will help. What am I looking for? At this point, it's got to either smash up, come back down, smash down, come back up. Even if it goes into the range a little bit, but when I get those higher lows or lower highs, that's what I'm looking for a call. That's what I'm looking for a put if I'm looking to go into some type of a day trade. This is from the 5-minute. I might expand a little and give it a little more time to see if something sets up. It's just kind of wavering around. Okay. Let's step back out. Uncharted territory for sure. For sure. Well, what is the VIX doing? I mean, this feels pretty stable, but the VIX is probably holding on. Yeah. I mean, it's stable, but it's holding on to this extreme volatility. Okay. More of the same. Reluctant to take much. Day trade in and out. We'll see where it brings us. Now, this afternoon, if you're able, Glenn is going to talk about some pivot points and something else. Inside trading from Congress. Oh, yeah. Both sides. Both sides. If you look at the top 10 most like profitable and quote unquote investors from Congress, 5 are Republican, 5 are Democrat. It's horrible. I agree with that. I agree with that. All right. Well, listen, guys. We'll call it. Glenn will be here in the afternoon. We'll see what the rest of this day brings, and then we will go from there. So, have a great rest of your day, everyone. As always, happy trading.
Record.